of solving quadratic equations. The first method that we're going to use is square rooting. If you're going to use square rooting, you'll notice on your sheet that it could be an x plus a number squared equals another number. And your first step here would be to square root both sides. Remember that whenever you square root a number in a solving problem, you have to always have the positive and the negative. So I have x plus 3 equals plus or minus 9. So that means that if I subtract 3 from both sides, I have x equals plus or minus 9 minus 3. That turns out to be 9 minus 3 or negative 9 minus 3, giving me the solutions of 3 and negative 12. So by using the square rooting method, I have x equals 6 or x equals negative 12. My next method that I could use would be factoring. If I'm going to factor, it has to equal 0. So I first am going to recognize that this is a quantity squared. I have to FOIL that out. So I get x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9 equals 81. I would combine my like terms, and then I would subtract 81. I have to, again, always make sure that it equals 0 when I'm solving or factoring. From here, I look to see if there's a GCF. There is not. So the next thing I look at is seeing if it's a quadratic trinomial, which it is. So C is negative 72, and I write out all of my terms for 72. 3 and what is that? 24. And then 4 and 18. 5 doesn't work. 6 and 12, 7 doesn't work, 8 and 9 has to add to a positive 6, so positive 12, negative 6. So x minus 6 and x plus 12 equals 0. Using the zero product property, I can set each term equal to 0, and I can solve, and I notice that I get the same exact answers that I have from the square rooting method, x equals 6 and x equals negative 12. My next method would be graphing. When you graph, again, it has to equal 0. You could either have it equal 0 like we did when we were factoring, or you could just have your original equation that looks like this, subtract 81, and set it equal to 0. Either one of these will get you the same graph. I'm going to use the second one just because we haven't seen something like that before, but you type it in exactly the same way, just making sure that you include all of your parentheses, subtract 81, and then hit graph. Again, if you can't see the whole parabola, you may need to zoom out or zoom in, and then you use your trace feature, do the same thing. Looking for this problem, you can arrow over there. Sometimes arrowing takes a while, but notice there it is. Push enter. Push enter as you get to the right. How do I know I'm to the right? You look at the numbers at the bottom, and I get another negative 12. Second trace, go to 0. You can type in a number to the left. So right here is the left. I can type in any number to the right, so maybe a positive 10. Notice that my point that I'm looking for is in between there. Maybe I think it's 2. And again, it's the same that we had before. So x still is 6. And x still equals negative 12 when we're graphing. My final method is the quadratic formula. When I use the quadratic formula, it should be in the same setup, and I want to know my coefficient. I first figure out my coefficients a, b, and c, and now I'm going to substitute them into the quadratic formula, watching out for any negative signs. Did that. Now I need to simplify, continue to simplify. Take the square root here, solve now the two equations. Continue to solve the equations. As you simplify them, you see again that you have x equals 6 and x equals negative 12. So regardless of your method, you get the same answers every single time for solving it.